All right. So, well, let me just make sure.
Yeah, whenever you guys are ready.
All right. Rob, thanks for coming back again, dude. We had Rob before, and there were some technical difficulties with the Rodecaster. If I'm actually being honest, when you use a low-grade memory card for that Rodecaster, sometimes it might not record, and that's what exactly happened with theirs. We had the video, we had everything, and now we do not do that same problem anymore. Perfect. Rob, how have you been? It's been, I don't know, what, 4 months maybe since we last saw each other?
When did I come on? Wow. It was like the end of
March?
The end of March, early April.
Yeah.
Right?
Since then, graduation has happened.
A lot's happened.
A lot's happened.
A lot.
We'll get into it, but you look good, dude. You seem healthy. I know you said you're hurting a little bit, but
yeah, I'll be all right.
Seems good. But Rob, if people don't know who you are the new titled, since I guess the last year or so, relatively new title of the director of multicultural arts, or just multicultural affairs. Sorry. And what I got from that last time is you help kids who are coming to school get acclimated and transition easier if they need be. They could come to you.
That's one element to it. So it's funny because I was explaining this to someone yesterday. So essentially my goal in my position is to create community and a sense of belonging for underrepresented students, right? Like the ultimate goal is to make sure that these underrepresented students are at some point represented, and I don't have to label them that anymore.
Right, yeah.
But, it's been, September will make a year since I started.
Right.
A lot's changed, a lot's kind of been set, in motion. We have somewhat of a good foundation. I'm happy to see the students really, I think, taking into what we're trying to do. Not everybody's going to be open to change, but it's all good.
Yeah.
You can't. I always tell students that my goal isn't to change literally every single student at Sacred Heart. My goal is to support you as an underrepresented student, and make sure that your culture is represented, to make sure that your experience is highlighted, to make sure that you are you feel like this is a home away from home,
right? And
that it's the same feeling that the average student on our campus feels,
right?
So essentially that's my job and my goal in making sure that students they're just equipped with the knowledge that they need to just navigate tough spaces,
right?
As an underrepresented or marginalized student, right? So that's my work. That's what I do.
So you're at Sacred Heart right now.
Yeah.
And you went to Sacred Heart. You played football there.
Mm-hmm.
You were, I say you were pretty involved with the school.
Yeah.
Right. And but before that, you came from Poughkeepsie, right? And what helped shape you to get to Sacred Heart, to get to the position you're at right now? What was life like, and who were those maybe influences and people in your life that helped you become the person you are to help people, now in life? So,
it's so funny that since we're doing the second go round
part
of this,
two.
Part two.
Yeah. Better than ever.
It's funny because, as I mentioned before we started, I had the opportunity to deliver the keynote speech for the class of 2021.
At your high school?
Poughkeepsie High School, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, and it was at first I was nervous, was nervous, right? I was super nervous because I'm like, well, why are you guys asking me?
Yeah.
And again, I was honored. I was like, am I at that level to even be asked? And apparently, yes, because the principal thought enough of me to reach out and ask me to deliver the keynote speech. So when that happened, I'm like,
it's crazy going back to your high school, right?
Yeah,
it's like your mindset is almost like, dang, I feel like I'm still in high school, like walking in these hallways, but I'm not. I'm like this old adult. Yeah, it is. It is. It's
because
crazy.
You just remember a lot of the positive, negatives,
yes,
and
the whole experience,
the good, the bad, right?
Are some teachers still there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another thing that's like,
one of my And I hated math in high school.
Yeah.
I hate math now.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm with you, dude.
So
2 + 2 = 4.
but
That's all
my
I know.
favorite teacher in high school, yeah, right.
Yeah, like I could just add and subtract, dude, like basic numbers.
Yeah, and my favorite high school teacher was a teacher by the name of Mrs. Teets, and she taught math. I hated math, but she was just a good teacher.
Yeah. Yep.
And she was
Cared, loving, just
like
that. Yeah, I know.
The extra step kind of teacher, right?
I've had plenty of them, and it's the reason why I got through school, honestly.
Exactly, and it's not just about the the grades.
Yeah, it's not.
What's
Yeah,
being taught.
the X's and O's. It's not about that. Yeah,
it's about the relationship and the rapport with the student, and she always went that extra step. So, back to the question, like the I guess my foundation in Poughkeepsie was just I mentioned last time my brother and my dad who they helped to shape me and like mold me as a young man.
Yeah.
My dad to this day works like 2 to 3 jobs, and that's just
MO. Yeah, it's like my mom.
Yeah,
that's what she does. There's no
he's a
other
hustler.
Yeah.
He's never not gonna do that.
Right.
Same thing with my brother, right? And my brother, I saw him go to college, so I'm like, well, damn, I'm going to college. So
Yeah. How much older is he?
My brother's 12 years older than me,
Okay,
so
cool.
he's 39 now.
So yeah, it's like a real big bro kind of vibe.
Yeah. So, and he's literally, I've always been able to see. He's always been my mentor, role model. Like,
right.
And a lot of kids, he's a community mentor and role model too. So it's not like, it was
he's just strictly
for
yeah,
me.
yeah.
He literally he's that for so many other people. And for me, it was just I guess I just had the ability to really take what they gave me and amplify it and just kind of take it beyond its limits, because after I did the speech and everything like that, I talked to my brother, and he's like, bro, you don't know how like freaking proud of you I like, because they tell me all the time, and for me it's a weird dynamic because I know they're seeing me as like who I was at that time, and then who I am now, and it's just like they see the growth and progression. I see it too, but it's like it's
different.
So
it's different. I know. You still feel like
sounds weird, but
I still have so much to grow.
Exactly.
Like I don't even feel like I've grown
there.
yet.
Yeah. And so Poughkeepsie itself, I love my town, I love my city. The people there, that's family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I learned so like good and bad, right? Like, and I said this in the speech, I was like, you got to unlearn some things like once you get to a certain level, because a lot of things that I learned were not like normal. Right. Like it's not normal to see I don't know, like certain levels of like violence and thinking that it's okay. It's not normal to hear or see people doing drug transactions in your class, like what I mean. That's
like
that's
certain
not
ways
normal.
to not act. Yeah, there's certain ways not to act and do certain things, like shouldn't be doing a drug deal in class.
Exactly. And it's just like and I was never knocking anybody who was in that position, right? That's just their reality.
Yeah, exactly.
But like you once you get to a certain space or environment, you have to realize like, oh wow, like that doesn't happen here, right? So when I got to SHU, it was like a huge culture shock.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, what made you go to SHU?
Football. I was just a football player.
So they just like recruited you.
Yeah.
Were there other options? Did you want to go anywhere else?
I did have other options, but Sacred Heart was my only Division I option.
Okay.
And when you're 17, it's do you want to die, right?
I know.
It was like that was it.
Yeah.
So for me, that whole process, the recruitment process in and of itself is very it's a tricky tricky game, right? So you had your and I was fairly decent. I was second team all state at the time. I mean I don't think I could have played at like
Alabama or something. Yeah.
No. It was like, my goal was Syracuse. Like you ask anybody, like that was I went to their camps.
Yeah.
I watched them. I watched their teams. Like that was the goal.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize I could be good at football until I was a sophomore in high school.
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't think I was going to be any good. Like I was a fat kid. I couldn't run.
Yeah.
Like I'd be gassed by the time we were doing finishing the half lap,
Yeah.
like the halfway mark of running laps. And but I stayed committed to what my coach Ken Barger and my brother were telling me. They're like, you're gonna be good, and like they saw something that I didn't know I had or possessed at the time. And I like if you ask anybody that was in Poughkeepsie at that time, that year, my senior year, we won our first ever section title. No one's won before us and no one's won after us. So,
Right.
And I was the co-captain that year, and myself and the other captain, like we just, and just the team in general, actually, let me, give everybody their props. Like we bought in, if that makes sense. Like we actually trusted our mentors and the people around us at the time and our coaches. And that process of me realizing like, oh, if I can be good at that, then like, why can't I be good at this? You know what I mean? Or why can't I be good at the next level?
Right.
Like, playing Division I ball. So I wanted to go to like Wagner once the reality set in, right?
Yeah.
And you have your options.
Yep. I know.
So I was committed to go to AIC in Springfield.
Yep.
Which is Division II school.
Mm-hmm.
But when I visited, the environment, and this isn't a knock on the city of Springfield, it wasn't any different from home.
Right.
And when I think of college, I'm like, I need something different.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Springfield's tough.
Yeah,
it's
it's Springfield, Mass. Let's be
they
real.
Did get a casino. They did get a casino in since then,
Yeah.
but it's still basically the same.
Yeah. So I went, visited the school, and I was just like, okay, I was committed. I was ready to go. And then I think it was like May or June of my senior year, which is extremely late for anybody to be like. Usually, guys know.
Junior.
Yeah, like when you're a senior in high school, and you're trying to play at the next level, you usually know by February.
Right.
Like, signing days in February.
Yeah.
So, Coach Edwards calls me after we had like a all-star game that I played in. And he's like, yeah, we want you to visit. I was like, okay, sure. Visited. And then my dad was like, yeah. I was like, you're going here.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
It just, Sacred Heart didn't look like the way it looks now.
I know.
Yeah.
It still was nicer, like a nicer school, but like, no, it's definitely exploded since then.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It was completely different.
3 months, it's something new.
Yeah. So yeah, we visited, and I was like, okay, this is I need to be here. And from there, it was just like everything. I kind of went up from there. I mean, don't get me wrong. There was like bumps in the road.
Yeah.
I could go for days about that. But
overall, Sacred Heart was a great experience for you.
it was a great option for who I was at the time.
Right.
Because I needed to be in an environment that was, one, different from where I originally came from. And I needed to be in an environment where it forced me to be out of my element, if that makes sense. Because, again, Poughkeepsie High School is very similar to a Central,
Bassett, Harding. Yeah.
So when it comes to, at the time at least, like when it came to education and whatnot, like, I didn't take school serious.
Yeah.
Ever.
Right.
Until I got to college.
Right.
Like when I got to college, my freshman year was the first year I had all B's. So, but in high school,
was like
we had this just mindset of mediocrity,
right.
because like we were literally told if you get a 65, that's passing.
Right.
So like we're thinking in our minds, 65. We just need to pass.
Yeah.
So
65.
But we're not thinking about how that impacts us when we
get
trying to go to college.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So
you're not taught like the proper studying shit and all that stuff.
Yeah, we're
like,
literally told like just pass and then you're good.
Yeah.
Because the system is also set up to where like, let's say you are, I guess, a kid with what's the word I want to use? I don't know, some level, some sort of, I don't want to call it a disability. It's not a develop, like when it comes to your academics, right? Like you're not too keen on it, right? I guess you'll say, I'll just keep it like that. Some teachers just want to pass you on to the next grade just to be done with you.
Right.
So when I was in like elementary school, and I know I'm bouncing around. I'll bring it back.
No, it's all good.
You know, I guess I think the teachers would call my mom and tell them to get me diagnosed or something like that.
Yeah,
because
like ADD or ADHD or something.
ADHD or ADD or whatever. Because like I just couldn't focus.
Yeah.
And well, luckily she didn't like put me on a bunch of like.
Yeah, it's just called being a child.
Yeah, it was just like I was a
people out
kid.
there.
It's just like I never, you know what I mean?
I mean, it's like they're indoctrination camps. You're sitting there, and people are like, you're forced to sit there for hours, wake up, and it's just not a healthy learning environment at all. I didn't even I didn't have a good educational experience, and I was in a different environment. You know, it's just the educational system in general in America is off. I think like every facet, what they teach you, everything. But that's neither here nor there. But
that's a whole.
That's just a whole nother episode.
Nother
yeah, literally, dude. It is. It's like, jeez.
It was, and you know, the thing is that when you know kids get these labels on them, it's just like you live with that from like childhood on through. So thankfully, I wasn't aware of that label until later on in life, right? So, got to SHU, and SHU was, again, it was that environment that I needed to be a better version
to grow.
of myself.
I mean, you were stepping outside your comfort zone. Yeah. Then the educational experience had you even step out of your comfort zone even more, because you're like, dude, I don't even know what the hell's going on.
Yeah. So, and it forced me, anytime I'm in a position where like I have to learn something, like to, you know, whether it be survival or to succeed in something,
improve,
I'm gonna figure it out. You know what I mean? So it was just like that was one of those instances,
a hurdle, exactly,
where I was put in a place. Again, I had to figure out the culture, I had to figure out the community, I had to figure out the resources and things around me to benefit me, and then I adapted to the surrounding. It was that simple, and I still do that to this day. So that was the process of just me getting to, I don't know, getting from going from that environment to this completely different environment.
No, to a completely
different environment.
Yeah.
So,
no, I know.
Yeah.
And so when did you get your master's or anything? Or did you stay you got your master's, all right?
So I got my first master's in at the time it was called applied psych. So they've since changed.
What was your undergrad, sorry?
Psych.
Okay,
psych,
cool.
Yeah, so I did psych.
I did psych.
Majored in psych. Like I had Hamill and like.
I mean, I wasn't at SHU for undergrad. Sorry.
No,
I was just my master's.
Okay,
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I actually went to UB.
I'm shouting out Professor Hamill and all these other professors that in the psych department, they were like
amazing.
Yeah. Like they genuinely, again, they care for the students.
Yeah.
And luckily, again, I was in an environment where the people that were teaching me actually cared.
Yeah.
And some didn't, right?
Like, right. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. No, there's so.
You're always gonna have one or two
that are just like over it.
Yeah.
They're just over
They've been in their profession so long.
25, 30 years. Every
student looks the same.
Yeah.
Every paper looks and sound the same.
There's a few teachers though that are like just born to do it. Be like 50-year teachers and just. They know every freaking student's name.
Yeah, and they care.
Yeah.
And those are the, teachers that get, or professors that get, they get those huge retirement parties.
Yeah.
Actually, they appreciate it.
Yeah.
They did earn it.
Yeah, they earned it.
So, I did my undergrad psych, minored in sociology, and then
helping profession, folks.
Yeah.
That's like. It's so funny when I went to UB and I played basketball there. It was like they literally took us, my whole team was like psych and human services. Yep. You're doing that. Media, you're doing that. Like just put us in. I was one of those guys that was in psych and human services. So it's so funny that. But I didn't do that. What did you do for masters though? You did applied psych.
So my master's degree was in applied psych, and there were two tracks. So there was the industrial organizational side. And then there was the community psych side. So community psych, it's kind of, for me, I probably shouldn't say this.
It's all right.
For me, it felt, some of the stuff that I learned felt like a rerun of undergrad.
Yeah.
So I did what was called the general track, where you could do both.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, I would have picked IO because it helped me understand like, oh, this is how you get the most out of the people within your work environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many hours does everyone spend on their job a week? About 40 hours, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's a long, like that's a lot of time out of everyone's day
Yep.
where you're at work. So, you spend more time with your coworkers and your family at times,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
So understanding how to communicate with those people, understanding their different backgrounds, identities, their personal identities and social identity, all these different things that make up that individual, and how you can get the most out of that individual, not selfishly, but like
Yeah.
literally for the purpose of getting the
yeah,
job done,
yeah, yeah.
right? So like essentially that's what I learned in IO, and it was like really cool. So they've since completely changed it to IO because
Oh, okay, yeah, because like you said, it was more of that other part was more undergrad. They've covered it all already. We don't
Kinda,
need it.
yeah,
We're wasting money here.
yeah,
So,
So,
all right,
yeah.
cool. So then that's you graduated with that,
in
and then
2017, yeah,
and then from 2017 till 2019 September was
2020.
for the job, right? That's
So-
2020 was the job September.
Yeah.
So what in that
In
gap?
that gap?
Yeah.
And that gap from 22 to 25, man, that was a very funny time. So, I worked in the admissions department for the university recruiting for 3
At
years.
SHU?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Just clarifying for the folks out there.
yeah, I recruited for the university for 3 years. The territory I had was South Jersey, pretty much. So from Monmouth, some people would say Central, but from Monmouth County and down. So I had the shore, which was
Yeah.
cool. So I would go to the shore and recruit,
Right.
which was cool.
Yeah.
And when you first start out, it's like, oh, you're getting paid to travel. You're getting paid to essentially teach kids about the admissions process, which like that was the most fulfilling part for me because I liked when I had the opportunity to tell a kid something that was common knowledge to me in the admissions process, that it was like a eureka moment for
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Like they're like, oh my gosh, you can do this, and
Right.
I'm like, yeah. Or, a lot of times even parents or the average person doesn't know about the college admissions process, right? So there are all these myths and rumors out there other than facts. Like there aren't, like, people don't always go with the facts. So it's just
Right.
like, no, you don't, like, it depends. So like students would ask me like, what's the best route for going pre-med or something like
Right.
that. I was like, there's a best route. Like
Yeah.
everybody has their own pathway when going, like if they're going to go pre-med, but there are things that you must do during this process.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you those things so that you know and you can get them out the way.
Right, exactly.
And not figure it
Focus
out
on the
senior year.
yeah, exactly.
And in that regard, the job was extremely fulfilling
Right.
because now this student had a pathway of how to get to their end goal of being I don't know, a pediatrician, a nurse, or whatever, and I helped them get there. So that was really cool. I did that for 3 years, but after a while, the travel was just like too much.
Yeah. Back
Like
and forth, back and
every
forth.
weekend.
Yeah.
9 months out of the year.
Wow.
I'm gone. And I'm like, I'm paying rent for a place that I don't
Yeah.
even live.
You guys should have told me. I would have just had a room by room situation.
Yeah, and I'm living in, and I mean, there were perks, you got the hotel points. And
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
of
that.
course.
But after a while, you want to become stationary and, traveling on the road and trying to like stay in shape and do all like, having a personal life is difficult.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. So, again, the first 2 years were really cool, but the last year, the pandemic hit, and then recruiting in the pandemic was like, I applaud any admissions department that made their class, which very few.
Yeah.
A lot of universities, because the reality is that, with the COVID thing, a lot of parents are scared to send their kids to school and pay all this money, right? If the kid's gonna sit in their room over a screen and do the virtual
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So it's like, well, why would I send my kid to your university to watch you teach them on screen when they can watch you from home? And
Yeah.
I pay half the cost.
Right.
So, that was floating around a lot. Those were the questions that I was getting. in the spring of 20, so like last year, when parents were kind of asking like, what's the plan, what's gonna happen, what's going on.
Yeah.
So it was, you know, I had that time in my life, like it had run its course. I was just like, I was burnt out from just the amount of work that we had to do.
Of course.
You know, I'm not like, hard work is not foreign to me, like at all. But it's just like this. It was my third cycle, and I was just like, I don't know if I can grow in this position, and
Right.
if I can, you know, grow here in doing this particularly. So, but I did need that knowledge, because that knowledge now helps me mentor the students that I work with now, which is super cool. And it gives me the ability to kind of get them to understand, like, okay, like this is what you need to do for classes. You know, this is how many credits and or courses you should be taking in particular. So yeah, it was a needed part of the
Yeah,
process.
I was gonna say it's cool looking back in the future. You know, when you're in a different place and you see what helped and what you use now. That's in a different part of, you know, it was a different part of your life. Like for example, basketball with me, all the teamwork stuff. That helps out so much here.
Absolutely.
Basically, run this ship like a basketball team. Honestly, that's what I look at it like that. But yeah, it's awesome that you can appreciate those moments. You know.
Yeah.
But so then, did this job just get created, or did you ask them to make this for you? You're like, all right, guys, I'm done. I need to grow. Make this job for me.
So, like I'm a, I guess, believer in like, what's the word? How do I want to put this? Like all right, I'll put it like this. Like, God is always doing things in the background that you're not gonna see.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So like, I think that's, so, you know, when George Floyd happened and all of these institutions, organizations, universities are kind of trying to, this is the first time.
Kind of like do their part almost, right?
Kinda, they're trying to acknowledge it.
Right.
Because it's like, you know, they had never, and I'm not talking about SHOOP in particular, but they're a part of that conversation as well. A lot of these organizations or institutions, they're like, well, they're kind of rushing to put something together, to say something, because on their campuses or within their corporation, they don't have anything that is highlighting diversity, equity, and inclusion. They don't have anything that speaks to social injustices that are taking place, or some sort of affinity groups for people that are affected by these issues, right? So it's like, they're scrambling to put these things together because it looks bad, because you don't have anything for your, I guess, your maybe minority.
I was gonna say minority population. Yeah, it is what it is. Like, it just is what it is.
So a lot of places were kind of scrambling, because what happened when George Floyd happened, right? What people were doing was pointing out, well, how can you put out, let's say, for instance, like this, why are you putting out a messaging or an email or a communication saying that you're in support of the Black community, or you're in support of XYZ community, but you literally have nothing in place or any systems or infrastructure in place to support those that are within your community when these things happen.
Right.
Because when I was a student, again, and I said this last time, but when I was a student and Mike Brown happened, and Eric Garner happened, Sandra Bland happened, no emails went out. But those things affected me deeply, like while I was in college, very deeply. It's like, you see a video of somebody being murdered on camera, and you question if that can happen to you, when you leave campus, right? So so the creation of this position was kind of in response to students saying, we don't have anything here for multiculturalism. We don't have anything here for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And look at our peer universities. Look at any university in our country. They all have something that highlights multiculturalism, and representation for different ethnic backgrounds or people from different communities.
Yeah.
And again, this isn't just it's not just with the George Floyd thing. Like, we saw what was happening when COVID happened.
Yep.
I literally had a coworker who was Asian, right? Experience
Hate towards her because she's Asian and it's COVID.
yeah.
China.
This
So some
person
dude's being an
ethnic
asshole.
background, yelled out at the start. This is when COVID was like, this is March. Things are getting shut down.
Yeah.
This is before Stop Asian Hate.
Yeah.
This is before the attacks and shootings and stuff like that, right? Someone yells at them on the street, COVID, while they're walking down the street, and it's just like,
Ignorant.
yeah.
Idiots.
Again, this is at the very beginning, right? So it's just like, technically, this was before George Floyd,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I remember this was March or April of 2020. So, we have to do a better job of being proactive and not reactive when it comes to these conversations, because a lot of times universities wait till things bubble up, and then explode. And it's just like, oh, well, what do we do now? I was like, our country does that. It's like, it's a microcosm of what we do societally, right? Like, we wait and we wait and we wait until things get very bad for one particular community. And then it's just like, a lot of things happen, right? Some people act completely unaware that these things were happening, right? And they might be unaware because they're privileged enough to not have to focus or look at those things, right? But the reality is that it's happening, and that it needs to be addressed and acknowledged. And I would say the first step is acknowledgement. So if you can acknowledge like there's a problem, then we can acknowledge that we need to find a solution.
Right.
So, that's kind of how the position was kind of thought
And then you applied for it.
So it was funny. I saw, and again, like I said, I'll be very authentic right now. I was like at my wit's end with the role I was in, and I was ready for something else. Yeah. Right? And not in a negative manner. I was ready to progress in life.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of felt stagnant. So, I see someone who's a mentor to me, a friend, just a good person on campus, and he says to me, he's like, Rob, you were the first. And I didn't know they were creating this position. I didn't know they were that the position had been posted.
Yeah.
I was just like, whoa, what? Sacred Heart's doing what?
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe I was a little out of the loop because, when the George Floyd thing happened, I was it affected me too. Yeah. So it's just like, you kind of, I kind of like, and then working from home and not being able to interact with people. There was a lot going on during that time.
And just like focus. You're not focused on. You're not seeing other things that are happening, like you said, behind the scenes. So.
Exactly. So I was like surprised at myself for not knowing that this was a thing that was actually about to happen. So it had been posted for like 2 or 3 days. I was like, oh. I was like, I'm not going to get it. Because I was like, I'm late. Somebody else got it.
Yeah,
so
it's over. That shouldn't even apply. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes and no. You think that. And then I'm like, oh, no, I'm going to apply. Yeah, I'm going to apply. Like, no, there's no way I'm not going to apply. Yeah. So, I saw this friend of mine, this mentor, and he was like, you were the first person I thought of. And he was like, you'd be perfect for this. Mm-hmm. He was like, you need to apply today. Yeah. And I was like, all right. So I applied. And it was like a quick turnaround. I applied maybe it was either late July, early August, and I found out mid-August, and then I started September 14th. Yeah, and I didn't take a gap in between. I was just like, let's do it.
Well, it's a nice transition, like place-wise. You're still in the same place, which is nice, and you get to stay on campus instead of driving all over the place.
Exactly,
which is nice.
Oh, I hate
Especially like, dude, you definitely hit the rush hour traffic both ways when you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. So,
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna actually go with what's next for you, and then after that, I want to know a book that helped that you read, or that you've, or maybe you're reading a book right now, or if you're not, maybe there's a book that you love that you've read that's helped you in your journey. But first, what's next for Rob Johnson?
I don't know. Whatever, I guess whatever God has predestined for me. I don't know. It's just funny because, like, my life has changed a lot in this past year, and I'm it's just weird because God opens pathways for you, and he, like, all right, this is gonna sound crazy. I promise it's gonna sound crazy.
You don't know. You obviously don't know who you're talking to. Honestly.
So I feel like, you know how when people say like, "Oh, I speak to God," or God speaks. I was like, I think God uses me and speaks to me via opportunities, if that makes sense. So like, when opportunities present themselves to me,
He's talking to you.
He's saying, I'm putting this in front of you because not only do I need you to do this, but I need you to prove to me and yourself that you're capable.
Yeah.
And I need you to let everybody else know that you're capable by doing this. So, and I've had a lot of opportunities, literally like within the past 3 months, where, you know, again, from speaking to at the graduation to now I'm doing like the student convocation, like the invocation at SHU.
What's that? I don't know what that is.
You know, when you were a freshman and you marched all the way up to the pit. So I'm going to be speaking at that. So it's just like, I know that there are going to be so many other opportunities in life. You know, I just have to be patient and wait for them, and, you know, and be diligent about them, and not just think like, oh, think that I'm just, what's the word I want to use? Be like, not in an arrogant sense. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just thinking like, oh, like, of course, why not me? Like, no, no.
Just be humble.
It's not like I get to. Like, I get the opportunity to interact with people,
right,
and be a blessing to other people. Because I think that's what's next for me. Continuing to find ways to bless other people, because that's literally all I want to do. Like, from like when I was a kid, or even in high school, it's like, how can I help other people? But it's reshaped itself into this, you know, for me, this paradigm of like, how can I bless other people? Because, you know, I wouldn't be where I'm at today if other people didn't look out for me and bless me.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's what's next for me, is just being a blessing to other people in some way, shape, or form. Whether it be in this, you know, in educating them about different cultures and different communities, or speaking, or literally whatever. Just being a blessing to other people. That's what I want to do.
I love it. That's what we're about here at Downtime.
Hey, I hope so. It's like, that's all we want to do.
Yeah, and then a book.
I think last time.
Yeah.
And I keep saying this, and I know you're probably sick of it, but I didn't say a book, but
you said
I said E.T.
Yeah, you know, you said a documentary. You said a show. Like, shows usually you watch stuff. Was it you that you said you watch stuff that makes you?
Yes. Yeah. So I said, like, you know, I'm not a big reader. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to the people. I don't lie to the people. Like, I'm not a big reader. Like,
yeah. Okay, so maybe a show or something.
Or auditory. Yeah. Like, I will read.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I will read, but I prefer to hear somebody.
Yeah.
I can feel their tone, their energy.
Oh,
like,
wait.
That's how
Eric Thomas.
Yeah, E.T. Yeah. E.T. Yeah. So, I listened to a lot of E.T.
Anything new? Any new guys you've been listening to?
There's another guy in their circle. His name is Jamal King. He's like a real estate mogul. He has this book that pretty much explains his story about how he went from just working as a police officer in Chicago, 9 to 5. Doing his shifts, to owning over 70 properties.
Wow.
Like, in Chicago, which is like, that's so crazy.
Yeah,
like,
it's a lot of Chicago.
I was like, that's something that, you know, I will be doing that at some point in my life. Like, I have to say that I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So, like, it was like, it's just a matter of the when and the opportunity, right? So, but his story, I have his book called 9 to 5 Millionaire. and like just some of the stories that like from the aspect of being a police officer and like in Chicago,
it's different. Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's not easy being a a black police officer at that.
yeah,
And then in Chicago,
right.
and reading his book and listening to the stories from it and how he just persevered and he's a visionary and believed, that's something that is taking place kind of in my life right now, is amplifying that visionary piece and believing what I'm saying is going to happen, if that makes sense. Like,
Right.
So yeah,
Cool.
that's a good book to
I love
trust
it.
me.
Yeah.
You wanna get into.
I'm gonna look him up on YouTube
All
actually, because I'm a huge
ET.
YouTube guy.
Yeah,
as
no,
well, so.
all their stuff.
Yeah, I'm
Secrets
huge
of
on
Success,
YouTube.
man. Trust me.
I know I actually have the book. I have it signed by him, The Secret of Success.
Yeah.
I loved ET
Yeah.
when I was coming back to play basketball again all those years ago. But that's it's not about me right now. But and then the last thing is, what is something you'd say to like a younger you or a young maybe yourself as well, if you could?
I mean, what I said to the kids at graduation, leave things better than the way you found them.
Yeah.
It's and treat people the way you want to be treated. It's so like life is that simple.
Yeah, I agree.
I really do believe it's that simple, and humans complicate it.
Yeah, I know. For no
It's just
reason, it's like
we complicate life so much.
Yeah.
And if you can do your part, like you'll be good.
Yeah.
Like, you'll be good. So, and I think younger me was so wrapped up in what other people thought. Like, just when you're a teen,
of course, dude.
Like, that's being a teen.
even middle school, it's just all part of growing up.
Yeah, and developing as and pretty much finding who you are. Like, who am I?
Yeah.
Right? So, I was always kind of, I wasn't as confident in who I was, and I wish that I had had more authority in being confident.
I know
in who I was.
Yeah,
because I liked who I was, but I was like, do they like who I am?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I know.
I was like, and then you get to be older, and you're like,
They do,
dope
yeah,
as hell.
yeah, exactly. Like, of course they fucking love me. Yeah.
It's like, because you realize you're like, no, I'm actually dope as hell, and they like me
I'm a
for
good
a
dude.
reason.
I'm funny, blah blah whatever.
well-meaning,
Yes.
and I'm
good heart.
Yeah. And I really wish that either someone or I don't know, a future me would have been able to tell me like, no, be confident, and like you can like Kid Cudi and listen to Jadakiss too.
Yeah, exactly,
like,
exactly.
You don't have to be what everybody else is, because again, coming from coming from Poughkeepsie, it's like you're this, or this. And I was like, no,
these are your options.
I can be a little bit of all of those things, but at the same time, I can still be me too.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing, again, if, in retrospect, if somebody had told me to be more confident in me, not me as a football player, not me as
not
these different
attributes that you have. Yeah,
exactly,
I get it.
Exactly.
It's like the real you.
Yeah,
I know.
The you that is like, again, that makes up the well-meaning, kind-hearted person.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
we were just talking about. Like, if you can be confident in that,
yeah,
the sky's the limit.
Yep.
Like, you'll be so much further.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would
kindness
tell
is just better, folks, okay?
It takes so much more energy to be pissed at people.
Yeah, I know.
And
Tony, you hear that?
Dude, are you kidding me?
He's always angry.
Oh, stop it. Come on.
Just joking. He's one of the happiest people I know.
It's like, it takes too much energy, so but yeah, no, I'm
I love it.
I'm happy,
I love it, dude.
Happy you guys had me back here.
I'm glad you came back.
No, thanks for
appreciate you.
Anything I can do to support, I'll definitely.
This will be up in 2 days, just so you know. Like, I hope you know that it will be. It's gonna be up in 2 days.
Listen, I know you all were like busy with all those other
no.
and stuff that you
we
were
lost
doing
that
too,
one,
and then losing it. I was just like, that's the worst. Like,
oh yeah, I know.
That's the worst thing.
Thanks.
Like, being in grad school now, doing film and television. It's just like one of my classmates. I think he lost like one of his files for his like, I think it was like his 3 to 5 or something like that, and I had to help him like reconfigure it. So I know
You get it.
It happens.
Yes.
Yeah, it
I
happens.
know
Technical difficulties,
it-
folks.
it's
For almost no reason ever
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it just
it's
out
the
of
worst
blue.
feeling because
Yeah.
it's like, especially when you captured
Oh.
some gold. It's like,
And just like the time and everything to have you come, but I'm
no,
glad you came
yeah,
back.
No,
Yeah.
I'm happy. Again, anytime I'll make time for this. You know, I'm always
Appreciate
happy
it.
to have some nice discourse and
Yeah.
and be able to share a piece of me with everyone else.
Yeah.
So,
And then real quick, where can everybody find you? What's your Instagram?
At RAWBS_John JOHN. So
Bang.
I mean, I don't post much.
No, I know, but you know, there might be some kid that's like maybe he's in Bridgeport and he's 17 and he wants to go to Sacred Heart.
That's true. Or
He's like, I
mean,
just want to hit you up.
reach out to. I'm a Facebook guy too.
Okay, Facebook
so,
too.
Rob
Johnson?
I don't have TikTok, and I probably never will.
No.
So you know, but yeah, I mean, my name. The only like social media I have that my name is like weird.
Weird.
My
It's Instagram, yeah.
So I was like, my name.
It's like instant messenger. All right, guys, that'll do it for the Dream is Free. Hope you guys like this episode. And the next episode is going to be Brendan Donahue. Just tune in for that. We love you guys. Peace.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do. Thanks again.